What up, watch peeps? Today I got a watch in from a brand I have not reviewed yet on the channel, and they are kind of hot right now. So I've removed the shipping label so you fools don't show up at my front door, but other than that, she is still sealed tight. I guess by now you know the brand I'm referring to is Lorier. Now that's a micro brand run by husband and wife team Lauren and Lorenzo Ortega. They are two super cool people, and if you've ever seen them in an interview or anything, you'll know just how charming they are. Now, they really like that intangible X factor that vintage watches have, and I think capturing that essence is really a defining characteristic of their brand, and they do a really good job at it. My experience with their brand, I had the Gen 1 Falcon, that's the smooth bezel sports watch, and those were in 40mm, and they used a Seiko NH35 movement and a domed acrylic crystal. Two things that really add height to a watch, and that was the major criticism, is that it was too tall. It was a chunky watch. I shared that opinion. She thick. However, in their latest series of watches, they have switched to the Miyota 9000 series movements, which are thinner, and they have trimmed down the cases. So I'm really excited to see how that has turned out. Well, let's rip this sucker open. This is my watch, bought with my own money, not donated or lent into the channel. Speaking of which, if you are enjoying the channel, please subscribe. It is a huge help and always much appreciated. Let's get to it. I'm Pete, and we are chilling with watches. Alright, first things first, wrist check. Today I am wearing the G-Shock 5900, aka the Walter. It is called that because the character Walter in the movie The Big Lebowski wore this model. Very cool watch. You'll see that waffle pattern on the dial. I should really get around to doing a review on this watch. Alright, so let's tear this thing open. Now, if you are interested in picking up a Lorier watch, what they are doing now is you can sign up, and they basically keep like a pre-order list. However, you don't pay up front. It's just kind of like a running waiting list. And when your name gets to the top and they have a watch ready for you, they will let you know. And at that point, you can then pay the balance or pay in full for the watch and have one sent to you. And I think right now they're taking orders for watches to ship maybe the end of July. It is July 6th right now. Oh, I don't know whose that is. I think all these new Gen 3 versions of the Loriers all are running $4.99 US. So this is their logo, the 3 chevrons. I really love their logo, actually. I think it's simple, unobtrusive, and just very cool. Looks like someone threw in a cheapest NATO's MN strap. You can see this is one of the ones that is put together wrong. You can actually take these apart and re-sew them together in the way, so they work like an Erica's. So Lorier give you this little leather tote or a watch carrier. I guess it's a watch roll, 2-slot watch roll. Screwdriver, I'm assuming that is for changing links in the bracelet. And now you see the model I have here is the Neptune. I am not Matt. But all the best, Lauren and Lorenzo. Alright, let's see it. Ooh, that's pretty. So this is the blue gilt dial Lorier Neptune. I really like the gilt dial. I have a thing for gilt dial watches. Explorer dials, gilt dials. So that is a really cool looking watch. Now here's that case profile I was saying, how they slimmed it down. We'll take a measurement on this in a little bit. But the brushing and the polishing looks fantastic. And it's definitely noticeably thinner through the mid case than previous gens. I'll take this sticker off. So the dial layout, you'll notice, is reminiscent of some Tudor submodels. I think from the 70s, I want to say, but I could be wrong about that, where they have the triangles at the cardinal points, 3, 6, 9, 12, dots the rest of the way around. It's a very dark blue dial. And you'll see the way the acrylic really stretches the markers. That's something people really love about acrylic crystals. The handset they use, I don't know if you can call it a broad arrow. I've heard it referred to as the narrow arrow. That's what El Jefe calls it. That is the hour hand, just a straight pointer minor hand. These are kind of reminiscent of the handset used by Omega watches. Let's unscrew that crown. It's got a very large crown. Yeah, an audible pop when it releases. If you're familiar with the Miyota 9000 series watches, they have a little bit of a gritty feel when you're winding them. But I think that's standard, that's normal. And now this is, I think, the 9039, which means it is a true no-date movement. There's only one position. Which, you know, not having to worry about AM and PM when you're setting your watches, you don't realize how great that is. It's very freeing. So, sets real nice and easy. Winds. Plenty of threads to screw back down. So yeah, with that one date position, stops real well in there. Let's check out the case back. They have opted for a very simple case back, just with their chevron logo around the perimeter. Circular brushing. I think it looks great. Super classy. I'm not one to engrave a case back, but you could if you wanted to. Let's take a look at that crown. It's a signed crown, again, with that logo that I really like. Let's take a look at the size on this crown. Let's see, 7.2 millimeter. Perfect. Yeah, you just gotta love a 7 millimeter crown. Or bigger. The case size on these, I believe these are, I want to say it's a 38 millimeter case. Yeah, I'm getting 38.4 if I'm in there precisely. Let's see about I think it might be a 39 millimeter bezel. No. Getting even smaller, 37.4 on the bezel. The lug to lug, and it does have female end links, so the lug to lug stays true. There's no extra added by that first link or end link. 47.8 on the lug to lug. And the thickness, including that domed crystal, 12.6. Now that is much thinner than what they had in their previous gens. And I mean, you can see it. I think it's going to make this watch wear a lot better. Like I said, the crystal is a domed acrylic, which plays a big part in capturing that vintage charm, right? I think the water resistance on these is 200 meters, if you can read that. The bezel, I think that is just an aluminum bezel insert, which, again, that's very vintage. It's almost refreshing to see, since everyone has switched to ceramic bezels. So there won't be any lume. It's a 120 click bezel, best I can tell. But it has nice, the grip is, it's got a coin edge bezel there. The grip is fine. It is better than what was on the Gemini. But it's smaller than the case. So that is a factor when gripping it. But I mean, the clicks are super precise. Everyone feels exactly the same. There's no slip, no wobble. Really nice bezel. So I don't think it's loomed. I'm not sure about the pip. Let's see if we can tell. Doesn't look like it's loomed, but we will check that out in the end and see what we got. So you've got a thinner mid case here that is brushed, turns down at the lugs. Case back does protrude, but not egregiously so. I do think that will disappear into the top of your wrist. And I think the overall flow from mid case to lug to bracelet will be just fine. Will be very comfortable. Has drilled lugs, which is always nice to see. Polished chamfers, brushed on the tops of the lugs. And the bracelet, I believe, is entirely brushed. Let's see if I can get the plastic off. Okay, so it looks like I should be able to get these off of here pretty easily. I think the previous owner said he did not use the bracelet at all. He took it off, had it on a strap. So this does look like the original wrapping. There we go. So yeah, the bracelet is brushed. I think the sides are brushed too. Now, one thing you'll notice here is the bracelet is thick. From the top, this bracelet is amazing. These links are great. They're flat, and you'll see how they play with the light. Like, super cool. A lot of people love it. They get a lot of good publicity for that. And it's female end links, so you get articulation right away. But it is thick. One thing you get with this thick bracelet is that articulation is not, it's not pretty. But these are solid end links, and without the hood that partially covers this first link, you're kind of going to see that unless they round it off. So these are 20mm lugs. Oops. And the bracelet looks like it tapers down to 16 at the clasp. You'll see the clasp is a standard 2 push button release. It's a milled clasp. And I see more and more people, more and more micro brands using this just simple 2-button clasp. And that's all I want. If you have sufficient micro adjust, which this appears to do, you'll see these links aren't very long. They're short links. So between that and the 3 holes here, you should be able to get a good fit. But yeah, I really like this clasp. It's simple, it's unobtrusive. I think it has that vintage feel to it. The brushing looks really nice. It's signed with their logo. Man, that shade of blue is really good. Bezel action's really good. Let's take a look at it on wrist. Okay, here it is on my 7 1/4 inch wrist. I have not sized the bracelet. And with all links in, it came in at 143 grams and change. So it's a smaller diver, but I think it's totally suitable for a 7 1/4, definitely for smaller wrists, and I'm sure larger wrists can also wear this as well. Let's take a look at it side by side some other watches. Here it is with the Notice Sector. This is the field case. It's a 38mm watch. Similarly sized. Now these both have the female end links that are solid end links with that first articulating link. And if you look, you'll see just how the Notice has a thinner bracelet. It's actually a thicker case with a thinner bracelet. I just think those proportions are better, and I think it makes that first link articulate better. They both kind of have that squared off look to them, but it doesn't stand out as much with the thinner bracelet. Let's take a look at it side by side in SKX. So here you're going from like a 38.5 to like a 42. So Seiko's a much bigger watch. Take a look at it side by side. Here's a Doxa, another vintage-ish dive watch, and this is also 42, the Doxa. So again, a larger watch. Altogether, a much bigger package. Look at the bracelet. Very different. Let What else do I have here? Here's the Serica, which is 37.7, which is very close to the bezel diameter on the Lorier. All in all, it's a great looking package though. Really my only gripe would be, since they've thinned down the cases, they should look into maybe thinning down the bracelets to go with it. But, I mean, from the top view, the bracelet is amazing. I mean, look at that. The flat links are just really cool. The brushing and the polishing looks fantastic. And I love the shade of blue. Alright. One thing left to do.
Keep the loom.
There she is. He uses BGW9 loom. If I can get it to focus. There she goes. I don't know if it's just me or I don't remember from the previous watch, but the loom looks much brighter. It's very blue in person compared to what you're seeing. But yeah, all in all, great application of loom. And the pip is loomed on the bezel. Alright, let's flip this camera back around and close this thing out. Alright guys, here it is. I got it all sized up on my 7 1/4 inch wrist. And I gotta tell you, on wrist, it is fire. I mean, look at the bracelet. And if you'll notice that articulation between the end link and first link is not really an issue when you're wearing it. Not sure if I mentioned it before, but these are fully articulating links, meaning that all three pieces are separate. And what that translates to is that it will shape to the contour of your wrist and you'll get a very comfortable fit. Altogether, man, I am really impressed with this watch. The dial color, the gilt is great, the bracelet's great. I do contend that it is maybe a tad thick compared to the watch head. A little bit out of proportion, but by no means a deal breaker. Alright, before I let you guys go, sneaker check. Wearing the white cement Jordan 4s. Alright, I'm out. It's not too much trouble. Like, subscribe, and come back next time. Peace.